Okay, so we started our evaluations from this past season, trying to look back at everything that went on and where we need to go from here. You know, there were a lot of good things that happened. Unfortunately, we didn't reach the goals that we wanted to. It was disappointing. We ended up finishing that way, but there are a lot of good positive things. You know, we finished top 5 in defense again. We finished in #1 in red zone defense. Finished in #1 in third down defense again. So there's a lot of good things. There's a lot of things we got to get cleaned up. And like I told the team the other day, that we're going to evaluate everything very thoroughly, including myself, and everywhere that we're going to go from there. So with that, I'll take questions.
Mike, players are pretty effusive in their support of you. Ownership reportedly supported you in front of a meeting. What does that mean to you after the way the season ended?
Honestly, it doesn't really mean that much. I never had any doubt that anybody was not supporting me or anything like that. So I think if you look over the 5-year track record, you might, you know, but unfortunately, this is a what did you do for me now?
How are you looking at the offensive coordinator situation? If Kevin doesn't land the head position, are you looking at him as the leading candidate to be retained, or what would you say?
I'm looking at all kind of options there. We're sitting down, and again, we're evaluating everything. I think Kevin's a really good football coach, very smart guy. I thought he did a good job for the 3 weeks that were in a tough situation that we had to do. But you know, it's fair to the organization, to myself, to the fans, that we look at everybody.
How does it complicate things with him not being under contract and being able to talk to other teams about, you know, other positions?
Well, he's technically he's under contract till Tuesday, so you know, we have exclusive rights to that. So you know, obviously I'll decide before then.
Coach, did your team's identity change this year?
I believe it did, yeah. You know, quite honestly, the death of Tony Sparano really kind of threw things into a little bit of a downward spiral, only because of the fact that this guy was a type A personality. He was very innovative in the running game, and had a strong voice in that room, and had a strong voice with me. So yeah, I do feel like we lost a little bit of our identity, and you know, we're going to get that back.
Mike, what's important for the next OC? What kinds of things do you want to see that person bring to the table?
You know, I think the biggest thing is, you know, we've got to score points. You know, we didn't score enough. We're in the red zone. You know, obviously I want to be able to run the football and play action pass, because I think that's the most effective way to affect a defense. But you know, we didn't score enough points in the red zone. We weren't good enough on third downs. I mean, there was a lot of things that we need to improve on there, and so that's going to be big. You know, part of it is making sure that we're able to, without getting too complicated, X's and O's. But a lot of things I've been thinking about is, you know, we got this great player. How are we going to block him? Let's get innovative with this, so that we can protect and be able to throw the ball, or protect and be able to run the ball to a different spot. What
did you learn from the experience this year, hiring John DiFilippo, somebody new, and then having to make a change in the middle of the season? What did you learn from that?
Yeah, well, you know, it wasn't, and again, I still think Flip is a good football coach. I just didn't like the direction that it was going at the time, and I was trying to make something to get us going again and get us going back in the right direction. So I trying to get us out of that little tailspin that we were in. I learned that, and I've thought about this a lot. I've learned a lot about the questions, the interview process, about things that I probably should do a lot better than what I did, and hopefully I'll do better this next time.
During the interview process with prospective candidates for offensive coordinator?
Pardon me?
You're talking about the interview process with prospective offensive coordinators?
Yeah, a lot of that, yeah. You know, we do a lot of research on guys, and, you know, when guys' names pop up and pop up and pop up, and, you know, and you kind of assume that that's the right way, but it may not be the right way for your particular football team. And so
Do you feel you missed something in the
Excuse
interview?
me?
Do you feel you missed something in the interview process with Flip then?
You know, Dawn, not necessarily that. I just don't think I asked enough questions as far as, what we were trying to get done, maybe. I don't think, not with him personally, you know, probably with everybody that we talked to.
Are you concerned at all about Kirk Cousins' performance in the clutch and in big games?
You know, I see that statistic, and, you know, and obviously it's not a good statistic, but, you know, quite honestly, Joe, it's about the football team. You know, one guy doesn't win games around here, one guy doesn't lose games, you know, and so I don't take it that way. I have a lot of confidence in Kirk. You know, I've talked to him, I've talked to some other people about, you know, how I can help him better and things that I can do moving forward. And so, he's gonna come out and play really good next year.
Mike, in what ways did Kirk live up to your expectations, and what would you like to see him get better at from this season?
Well, certainly there's a lot of things in both areas, but, you know, I really don't want to get into specifics sit here in front of all of you and tell you what, you know, he needs to get better at. I'd rather talk to him about those kind of things. But as far as the things that he did good, I feel like, you know, he number one, he came in here, was a great teammate. He studied real hard. He worked extremely hard at everything he was trying to get done. And, you know, but I do think there's some areas that he can get better at, and I'm sure he'd tell you the same thing.
Was his play this season what you expected from him, though?
Again, I think it's more about the combination of the team as opposed to one particular player.
How
Is it
much
as
might
simple as
of a
offensive
premium-
line, Mike, and?
Excuse me?
Is it as simple as a great offensive line play, and is that the most difficult thing to do, is to try to build, draft, develop offensive linemen?
Drafting and building really any position is really hard. Obviously, the offensive line is a tough spot, but, you know, there's plenty of them. But I would not say it's as simple as that. I think there's a lot of things that go on, and we have to do a better job there. You know, if you look at the 5 years that I've been here, defensively, you know, we've kind of gone up and then maintained where we were, and offensively, for the most part, we've been down here. So I have to do a better job of creating that kind of the defensive mindset and attitude and things that we have on offense. And I think that's probably as simple as that.
How much of a premium though needs to be put on improving the offensive line?
I think the premium needs to be put on everywhere. I mean, you know, we're just starting to go through the evaluation process now with most of the positions, but, you know, there's a lot of guys that, you know, we can help to play better, and there's a lot of positions that we need to get better at.
Like in terms of the support from ownership, would you be comfortable with a scenario where you coach in the final year of your contract without that being?
Sure, I got no problem with that. Free agent after that, right?
Going off of that, just with everything that you've been through and the stress and the losing weight, was there any part of you that considered retiring or anything like that? Or?
No, I can't believe that somebody even threw that out there, but no, it was totally 100%, what do they call it, hashtag fake news or something? No.
You had,
I'm not a quitter.
did not, I think obviously you had to go through 2 years ago. Was this season as stressful as that, and more stressful for you?
Not, the season wasn't, I mean, every season's stressful. I mean, it wasn't more stressful or less stressful. Every season's stressful. When you don't win, it's more stressful. The eye thing, it was difficult to deal with, but it's not, no, it wasn't really. Actually, the season went pretty fast, to be honest with you.
Mike, what do you think's the main thing you guys lacked that the playoff teams have this year?
Well, I mean, you can look at a lot of the statistics, but, you know, I think, Mark, quite honestly, you know, this football team, for the 4 years that I've been here, had that nasty, we're gonna win regardless, no matter what the situation is, mentality, and I don't know that we had it this year. You know, I talked to a couple people during the season, that around the building, and I actually said to him, I said, you know, it's just kind of a different vibe with this football team, and I can't figure out why, you know, because we have a lot of the same guys back, we have good football players, you know, I wasn't really different than I normally am, but for some reason, we didn't finish the games like we finished before. So I don't know why. I mean, we had the lead in a bunch of games last year that we finished, and this year we were playing catch up, you know, more so. So I don't know if that's it or not, but we're gonna get that mentality back. I can promise you that.
Could it be just the assumption that, the widespread assumption, that you guys are just gonna take the next step?
It could be that. It could be the expectation level and everybody believed it. It could be, you know, a lot of different things, but we're gonna get it back.
Like beyond the offensive coordinator, do you anticipate any other changes to the coaching staff?
I don't know yet. Again, I'm still going through the evaluations. We'll see how we go. You know, some guys are out of contract. You know, they may not want to stay here, but you know, we'll work through that here in the next 5 days or whatever it is.
Like when you say you're gonna get it back, how do you get it back?
I've got a plan.
Okay, sure.
No.
Mike, when you think back to the preseason and maybe some things that you were concerned about, like any coach would naturally be concerned about.
Like what?
Back to the preseason, things you might have been concerned about and how the season played out. What were some of those things you were concerned about that came to fruition?
Well, the thing I remember most about, you know, it's a long time ago, but the thing I remember most about the preseason was, you know, we were playing okay on defense, and it kind of showed through the first 4 weeks of the season. We didn't play great. We got back to playing pretty darn good there for the most part, but there's still some areas we got to get better there too. I guess, and then maybe the continuity offensively, you know, with, you know, we got a new quarterback, we got new coordinator, you know, those kind of things.
Given the way this team was able to bounce back after 2016 and what you guys did last year, what can you take from that example and apply it to 2019?
So I think it's a good example. You know, we've got good football players on this team. We got good coaches. We've got a great home field stadium. There's a lot of things that we can build on. I told the team this one day, you know, a year ago I felt like we had a big chip on our shoulder. You know, this year I don't know that chip was there, and we're gonna get it back.
On the heels of that, you win the division in 15, fall off in 16, win the division last year, fall off this year. Has that up and downness, does that concern you?
Yeah, and you know, there's a lot of different reasons for that, or possibilities. I mean, you know, you get new players, you get different schedules, you get you know, you get the first place schedule, you get the third place schedule, whatever it is. And quite honestly, you know, most of the teams that we lost to were pretty darn good this year. So, but if we want to get back to the caliber of where we want to be, we have to beat the good teams. So that's part of it.
Coach, 11 of the 12 playoff teams ran for more yards than they allowed, and you were on the flip side of that. Is that one of the reasons why you stressed the urgency with the flip of coordinators?
I just wanted to be more balanced. It wasn't, but that's true. Most of these teams, even though they're quote passing teams, they still run football. And it makes it much more difficult for the defense if you can run the ball, slows the defense down, the pass rush, which helps the offensive line. The play action slows down the defensive line. All those different things, I think, help make you an effective offense. And yeah, I mean, we need to do a better job there, yes.
Mike, when you're looking for your next offensive coordinator, do you put any extra weight on candidates who you have a prior relationship with? Does that help in the process at all?
No, not really. I know where you're going with that question,
Yeah.
but that's not a good question. I mean, it's a good question, but it's probably you're fishing in the wrong pond.
Mike, you were talking about losing Tony and the edge and the mentality that he brought. When you look at whether offensive coordinator or other coaches you bring in, is that a priority for you to have someone that has that intensity and that kind of approach?
Well, that's part of it, yeah. You know, and I really felt like a year ago with the players we had there, we had that mentality with the players, and I still feel like the players, and I'm not just, saying things about the offensive line this year, but they were tough guys too, but I think you need that kind of a leader in that room that can help with those things, and Tony was very innovative in the running game, and like I said before, he was extremely influential in that room. I used to talk with him every morning, and so when I'm talking to the defense during the games, he would be influential throughout the series offense, while they're getting going offensively about what they're going to do in the next series. So that was a little bit of a factor. I do think that Clancy and Andrew, for the situation that they were put in, did an unbelievable job. But it's tough. I got that phone call. We're coming back. We're going to have a kickoff party on Monday. I got a call. I guess it was Monday. Got that call Sunday morning at 9 a.m. from Kim. That he passed away, and so we're getting ready to go to training camp in 2 days. So the whole thing was, another one of the sections for my book, I guess.
How did you navigate this season without him? Just given you mentioned those meetings that you guys had, and he's such a close confidant. I mean, how difficult personally, when you look back at this year, just not having that voice or that ear for you?
Yeah, and the other part that people don't realize in this job, you get close to people's families and lives, and his wife, I'd text her once in a while, see if she's okay, making sure that their family's okay. But that's part of it too. It's not just about the football, even though everybody, that's what it wants to be, but every time you put that pin on it, said TS, you think about him and the things that that you miss about him as well. So I know the offensive line room was devastated when that happened, because they really loved the guy, as did everybody that worked with him. He was a grumpy little Italian guy that was very, very good at his job and was a good friend of mine. But I think there's no book on it on how to do it, but you just try to figure out how you can try and do it the best way, and if it works, it works, and if it don't.
You were a pretty young. You were a pretty young team this year, and you obviously missed Tony's voice. Was there ever a time when you missed the voices of some of the veterans, like maybe Robinson, Berger, Newman switching roles during those times of adversity to help the team through it?
It's really hard for me to say that, because every year you're going to have guys leave. You're going to have new coaches. You're going to have new situations that happen, and I think some of the guys that took over some of the leadership roles did a good job, but it's hard for me to say that was a factor or not. And a lot of the guys you mentioned were really good leaders, but we still have a lot of leaders on this football team, and some, and a lot of them lead differently. Harrison Smith leads differently than Anthony Barr does, or Riley Reef leads differently than Kirk Cousins does. So it's hard to say.
Do players lobby you much for, we need to do this different, or for players they want to see you bring in, and do they do that much? Do they have a big say, or do they try to be vocal about that?
Not really too much, Mike. I ask a lot of players. I told a lot of them that I want to get their opinion on some things, but the day they left. But I said, I don't feel like today's the right day. Right after you get knocked out of the playoffs, and so I'm gonna call some of the guys that some guys won't say anything to you, and then some guys will tell you whatever they think. And so you have to pick the right guys, and then you have to take it and figure out, what's the best thing. And typically, they'll lobby for you for players once in a while, but they don't understand salary caps or anything else. So it just kind of you just listen and nod, kind of like I do with you. See ya.